Hi, so this is our first of our theory lessons, and we're going to look at the three clefs. There are three clefs in music, and they are F, C, and G. So that's C for middle C, and then this is F just below, and this is G just above middle C. And the three clefs represent those three notes, F, C, G. So the way they used to be written, so they get this line was there, sort of like a graph. And that graph tells us whether our notes go up and or down. So if I put an F there, here, that would tell me that any note that sits on that line, like here, is F. It's not very clear on the camera, is it? So that's an F, because that's an F clef. And the F is marking that line there. So if I did a different clef, so if I did a G, I might put a G here, then that would say that this line is G. And then I count up from G, so G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and so forth. So there was, and then C the same, so I could put C, maybe I put C on the middle line, and so I'd go C, D, E, F, G. So just going up the scale, C, D, E, F, G. Just as we go up those lines and spaces. Line, space, line, space, line. So C, D, E, F, G, or I could go the other way, C, B, A, G, F. So what I pick my note, I mark which line I want for that note, and then I move up or down. Now what's happened is that over time they use this thing called calligraphy. You can think about calligraphy as being like your fancy fonts on your computer. So they still have their 5 lines. There's the 5 lines. But instead of writing a G, they started writing this curly sign. So hopefully it comes out clearly on the camera. So draw around the G, and there's the G there. But then, because it's calligraphy, they put a little bit of a curl on the top, and then a line going straight down, and then a little bit of a curl on the bottom. So the G is still there. The G is right here. Now, in modern music, that G is always on this second line. So we don't move the G anywhere else. So when you see this clef, this G clef, it's always going to be on the second line unless you're looking at historic music. So everything you look at will be like that. And then my G is on my second line. And the same as before, we can go up or down from there. So G is on the line, A is on the space, B is on the middle line, C is on the third space, D is on the fourth line. So just go up the alphabet, G, A, B, C, D. Now, the F clef that we use today, again, it got affected by calligraphy, and they were writing with their fancy quill-like pens. So instead of looking like F on this 4th line, it sort of looks like a running writing F. So if you can imagine, I put my pen down against a blob of ink and goes across. I put my pen down against a blob of ink and it goes across. And so it's sort of like a running writing F. But when I write it on the stave these days, those lines going across are missing. And just the blobs of ink are there. It's still on the 4th line, the same as was written with a little f, and it doesn't move anymore. So it stays on that 4th line. So there's my F on the 4th line, F. And I'll go backwards this time, so backwards in my alphabet. So if F, I go down to a space, a line space, so that one is E. And go back down again, that one's D, because D is before E in the alphabet. That space there is C, because C is before D. That one's B. That one's A. And then before A comes G, because our alphabet is only 7 letters in music. So that's the F clef. Now the one more clef is the C clef. So I'll rub it out again. And so originally the C clef was just a little C. But the C clef is probably the hardest these days, excuse me, to see that it still looks like a C. So in modern music, there's two places we put a C. We might put the C on the middle line, or we might put the C on the fourth line. The middle line one's called the outer clef, and the fourth line one's called the tenor clef. But the way it looks like now is sort of weirdly like a K. So we might draw it like a K here. So then the middle of the K is where the C is. That's when they do it with a computer though, it looks a bit fancier. So it sort of looks a bit more like a B, something like that. And that wherever the middle of that B is where the C is going to be. So the same thing, so if I use this one that I've drawn here, C on the middle line, C, D, E, F, G. So notice again I went line, space, line, space, line. I don't miss any, so that's how I got my ladder. And if I go the other way, C, oh, I almost missed the space, C, B on the space, A on the line, G on the space, F on the bottom line. So that's the three clefs, the C clef, the F clef, and the G clef. The G clef you'll sometimes hear called a treble clef, and the F clef you'll sometimes hear called a bass clef, and the C clef might be an alto or a tenor clef.